And welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. My name is Chris, bringing you this lovely cryptocurrency video on a Saturday morning. It's about 6:30 a.m. and I just wanted to get to you guys. I missed you guys yesterday and wanted to kind of wrap up the week with what I'm looking at. And I'll just start it off with the CMEs right here. What do I see on the CME? So this is the weekly time frame. Again, the weekly time frame is going to have stronger, more powerful implications. And so we had the weekly close yesterday. Again, CMEs will not open until I believe it's 3 p.m. Sunday Pacific time, 3 or 4 p.m. On Sunday. And that is the futures market, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, where a lot of professional traders trade. And so I'm going to line this up with the stock market as well. But the first thing I wanted to point out here is a couple things. We do have some bullish divergence, hidden bullish divergence. So what is that? When the price is making higher lows, I'm just going to mark it off. These three clear stop and reverse points. We got higher low here, and we got a higher low here, and we've got a higher low here. And I would say it was all but confirmed right here by closing above this guy. And the first target is the 9 on 3 drives of bullish divergence, hidden bullish divergence, excuse me. That is going to be your, and I'll compare it to the lower lows and RSI coming back from this point here, and this point here, and this point here, right? So we've got 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence, and I would say that is good enough to give us a target up to the 21 at coming in at 28,495. That number will come down slightly, coming into next week. So maybe it comes down to about 28,000. And that's right in alignment with a gap fill. Now, if we get rejected, if we come up here and then we immediately get rejected, it's going to be a good sign that our kind of downward biases are going to kind of come to fruition. And, you know, I would be looking for, it looks like we already got a test of this wick here last week. Let's see how that lines up. Close enough is close enough. So first pass is a sell, and that is kind of what we're looking at right now. This is a bit of a doji candle and a sign of indecision. However, we got some green volume. So volume is increasing on the green side, and well, I don't know if we could say red is totally decreasing yet. However, 3 drives of bullish divergence typically does give you first target yellow 21, second target is going to be the green 55, which would be another gap fill, and that would be the most bullish scenario that I think we could be looking at. Again, CME's powerful time frame, powerful chart. What else do we have here? We have Stokes crossing up from a low level, and the divergence is playing out from a very low level. So that's typically a good sign for some continuation to the upside. What else do I see on the daily time frame? So that's a higher term time frame. On the daily, however, we do have several drives of hidden bearish divergence, which is where price is making lower highs and RSI is making higher highs. So we got a slew of lower highs. I mean, we're talking about 1, 2, Are these lower highs? No, that's not a confirmed lower high in my opinion. Maybe you could call that one. It doesn't look like a clear stop and reverse point to me. So as long as we are closing dailies above this pivot right here, you could raise it up to this pivot right here at 22,975, 22,800. I would look for a little bit more continuation to the upside. So let's take a look at how NASDAQ closed. Again, we grinded up against this purple 200. Now we're breaking above on the daily time frame. Let's see what the weekly looks like. And the weekly, I mean, that's liftoff, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 straight weeks of liftoff on NASDAQ. And let's take out the S&P as well. S&P looks more bullish, taking out this a previous weekly high. Is that a clear stop and reverse? No, I would not say so. In order for us to get bullish back in a trend reversal on the weekly time frame for Mr. S&P 500, I'd be looking for a move above this high and then a higher low. That would do it for me, and I would probably be willing to say, should I dare say new all-time highs? No, I don't think that's the case. I don't see how it could happen. The stimulus bill is inflationary, and I think this is probably going to line up right at the 618 fib. Pretty darn close. If we're going on a wick basis, we are pretty darn close, and that would be kind of the golden pocket right there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we open up this week coming back down to test the green 55. However, an open and a closure above this pivot right here, above the 618, is going to look good for some continuation to the upside, at least to the 786. So stock market looking a little bullish, and we'll say the same 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence is playing out on the stock market. Again, we got this higher low. Could we call this a higher low? Probably. And this higher low. And it's more defined on the RSI here. So there's 3 clear points, and price is obviously making higher lows, RSI is making lower lows. So that's hidden bullish divergence. What else do I see here? Stokes are very erect to the upside. Volatility is ticking up. So it does look like we want to get some continuation. Volume is, not too great, but it looks like it might be the start there on the weekly time frame. How about the daily? Same thing here. And I would say as long as we are closing above 4,042 in the short term, I'm looking for some upside continuation. You can see volatility is declining here. Stokes are way up here. We are getting back into the bullish control zone. So that is looking good for some continuation. However, if we fail to get above this region at 44.69, that will play out several drives of bearish divergence or hidden bearish divergence when price is making lower highs and RSI is making higher highs. So yeah, that's hidden bearish divergence. And so looks like maybe a little bit more exuberance in the market, people buying the dip or buying the hope of the new stimulus bill that's going to inject almost another $1 trillion into the economy, and somehow it's going to lower inflation. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Let's see what the dollar closed off of. So holding it up above the green 55 here, and it will also have 2 drives of hidden bullish divergence. Again, price is making higher lows. First target is the 21. We hit the 9. So Again, I would say the pivot on the dollar, now we could move this down. We could move this down slightly to this region here. And any kind of a dollar closure back above 106 should look continuation to 107. And I would remain with this as probably the major pivot leading back to the dollar, at least testing the top side of the range, which is going to be, yeah, right at the 618. So that's where the bull traps come in, and that's where the confirmation is for a little bit of a bull rally on the US dollar, which would be bad for stocks and bad for Bitcoin. So that's it for the dollar. Let's check out Ethereum. So we did say, hey, look, if we can get above this blue box, likely to hit this area, coming in at 2169. And that is our last chance for really some bearish divergence to play out. And I mean, that's not really a clear stop and reverse, but that is the last high, local high. And we are just grinding up against this high right here, which would give us, again, a couple of drives of bearish divergence. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, Ethereum come back down and test the 21 somewhere in this blue box again, or this green box of peace and prosperity and death and despair. However, if we do start to lose this pivot right here at 1660, I'm looking for probably a move all the way back down here. And this is the last line in the sand for Ethereum before revisiting these lows down here at about $1,000. So 1362, 1592 areas to be aware of. And, you know, technically we got above this high right here, and that cancels out that hidden bearish divergence. Do we have any bullish divergence on the other side playing out here? Price is making, yeah, higher lows all the way through there. Higher lows, I'm sorry, bullish divergence. From this point right here, we've got 1, 2, 3 lower lows in price where RSI is making higher lows. So that is a bit of, so compared to this low here, we've got 1, 2, 3, and that typically gives you a move to the top side of the range. And let's say this is the range, which, you know, if we called the range between 2169 and 991, that's just a huge range. Doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the new range would be here, but below this pivot here at 1700 and call it 2182. And you know, if Ethereum wants to get back above this guy, well, it will become support, and the next resistance is going to be at 2954. So just some things to be aware of. Volatility is expanding. Stokes are to the upside, and we are, as we had been saying over the past week, typically when you grind up against the top side of the bullish control zone, you know, it's like punching glass, right? The more times you punch it, you're going to get through, and we are now officially broken into the bullish control zone on Ethereum. What else do I see here on the weekly? Making it all the way up to the 21. So let's see if we have the same bullish divergence, hidden bullish divergence coming back from this point. Yep. We have 1, 2, 3 higher lows. First target is the 21. Second target is the green 55. And I wouldn't be surprised if that gets hit, as we are playing out this divergence from the bearish control zone, from the bottom of the bearish control zone, and we're about to lift off and get out. However, volatility is declining, so that typically gives you a weaker bounce. And I do want to line this up with one last thing here, and that is our Fibonacci retracement tool. And the 618 is coming in right around that green 55. So there's some confluence there. And if we do it based on bodies, that is going to be right at the 0.5, which that'll be an important pivot on the market for Ethereum. If we can start to get an open and a closure above there, it's going to look pretty good for a move back up to about 3,500. So we'll see how the end of the month plays out. We're only about 2 weeks into August here. And what else? I think that's it for today, guys. So it looks like a little bit of a bullish bias coming into next week. Hey, I could be totally wrong. This isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And as long as we are in a weekly downtrend, making the clear lower low, right? We had a lower low here, lower high here. I remain with the trend, so I'm expecting some kind of a lower high to come in around here between 22 and 2,300, and then what's the next part of the trend? Another lower low. So we'll see how this all plays out in the weeks to come. We'll be keeping an eye on it. And I'm happy to get bullish if we get a weekly reversal. For Ethereum to get a weekly reversal, it's going to need to take out that high at 3,500 and then put in a higher low, and that would look good for new all-time highs with a weekly reversal on Ethereum. Shorter term time frames, the daily, let's take a look at the 4-hour volatility expanding, crossing down, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is some bearish divergence beginning to form, coming back from this point right here. Nope. This point right here. Yep. That's pretty far back, guys. That's pretty far back. So let's see what stock market does next week. Let's see what Bitcoin does next week. And we'll be back with another video on Monday. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care. Have a blessed day.